started. All right, able to see my screen? We'll do our opening prayers and then we'll get to the shloka for the day and the discussion that will ensue from there on. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening to all of you. So let's get started. Today we are going to pace it because we have a hard stop at 10 and then we had a very exciting presentation coming up as well. So I'm going to get started. 4.20 is the shloka today. This will take probably a couple of sessions because today we will touch upon it, but we'll go in greater detail tomorrow and day after on that. So I'm going to recite it and then maybe a couple of hands, not more than that today. Tyaktva karma phala sangam Nityatripto nirashrayah karmanyabhipravrittopi naiv kinchit karoti sa naiva kinchit karoti saha karmanyabhipravrittopi naiva kinchit karoti saha. It was a bit of a tongue twister, but yeah, let's take two hands and then we get started because we have some content to cover and the presentation, upcoming presentation as well. So maybe two hands today. Who are the lucky two ones with the camera on?
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, sir. Tyaktva karma pala sangam Nityatrupto nirashrayah karmanyabhipravrittopi naiva kinchit karoti saha.
Wonderful, very nice. Thank you. Udayji, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Tyaktva karma pala sangam nityatripto nirashrayah karmani abhipravrittopi naiva kinchit karoti saha. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. So in this shloka, Lord Krishna is saying such people having given up attachment to the fruits of their actions are always satisfied and not dependent on external things. Despite engaging in activities, they do not do anything at all. So we've been talking about karma, vikarma, akarma, right? Akarma is the way to go. And we're trying to figure out what are the different tenets of akarma, which is also called as Karm Yog. And today we will discuss the fourth tenet of it because we have already discussed three of it, which is inaction. What does God say about inaction? Before we get into that, let's quickly go through the soul soup segment. So what do we have today? Let's look at it. Now, here is our life on a fast lane. Given a choice, would you rather have it in an autopilot, like the plane is, or a Tesla? A lot of companies are investing in autopilot. Or would you run it in a manual mode? Why or why not? Let's have a quick thought process going. Autopilot or manual? Which one do you think is more beneficial for us? Let's talk about it a little bit because it's very relevant to the topic of our discussion today and it's a very important concept. So let's hear from, I see Prabhat raising his hand. Go ahead, please.
Autopilot mode.
Autopilot? Okay, all right. Sandhya, you wanted to add something?
If it is run by God, then yes, autopilot. But
you have qualified it. That is very nice. I think you're touching upon the point. If it is. All right. Samji, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, Radhe, I think a manual is better because that way you use your conscious. So conscious, that way you can control the vehicle as well as the crowd-oriented thing. Autopilot, no. I don't go for that.
Yes. All right. So let's get deeper into this discussion. Yes, all of you are right because it's contextual. Our life, whether you like it or not, it's already in autopilot mode. It is in autopilot mode because we are already being governed by our gunas. So your gunas are dictating the choices that you're making, and your gunas are dictating the thought process you have, your decision making that you have. Right? Depending upon whichever is your dominant guna, rajas, sattva, or tamas, that guna is going to dictate your actions, choices, and thought process. Okay, people who have predominant tamoguna, they gravitate towards slothness, procrastination, and all those kind of things. People who are predominant guna is rajogun, they are action oriented and they are in the mode of passion, enjoying life and doing a lot of action. And then people who are in sattvic mode, of course, they gravitate towards more noble deeds. The point here is these three gunas, you may have a dominant guna at any point in time, but these three gunas are always wrestling in your mind. So most part, they are dictating you. So it is in an autopilot mode already, but you have to take control. Okay, make it manual. How do you make control? When you take control, that is then you can mindfully, consciously, willfully transcend your gunas. Then you are not letting your gunas having a free hit. Otherwise, your gunas will keep on deepening, and those gunas, the three guni maya, will keep on dragging you further in the material life. So the autopilot is already there. We need to take control of that, and that is the only way to transcend our gunas. Kamesh Krodhesh Rajoguna Samudbhava. In Bhagavad Gita, it says, Kam and Krodh, they stem from Rajogun. So if you let your gunas dictate your life, then you will not be able to have, you will not be able to transcend it. In fact, once you are born with a guna, predominant guna, you will only end up deepening it in this particular life. So scriptures, Bhagavad Gita is telling us, you do have an ability to transcend, and that's where you need to take the manual control over it. Take a witness consciousness, take a back seat, and take a resolve to conquer your guna by arming yourself with the right kind of knowledge. Right? The right kind of knowledge is what we are subscribing to, listening to Swamiji's lectures, Maharajji's philosophy, and contemplating on Bhagavad Gita on a day-to-day basis is where we are attempting to take a manual control over this autopilot that is already happening. Now, after you have surrendered, after you become Sharanagat, then autopilot is fine. Then that autopilot is good because now God takes control and you are a mere instrument in his hands. But until Sharanagati, we have to take control. And that is the only way to transcend our gunas. Otherwise, your gunas will keep driving you. Okay, it's unstoppable at that point. And why it is important? Because our life, if you look at it, time is limited. Time is limited. Right? It's like flowing water in a river. If you blink, the water is the same. But the water that you witnessed just a few seconds back has moved on. Same thing with the time. Every moment we are getting closer to our final destination in this life. And that time is very, very precious. So every moment has to be spent to think how we can transcend our gunas and actually get to the nirguna state. And the more we subscribe to that, the more we get closer to it, the more we are serving the purpose of this creation and pleasing God and Guru as well, right? That's it. Ya salimo mein turkat dabegi, ya salimo mein turkat dabegi, या चिताओं में जलना पड़ेगा. या सलीमों में तुरकत दबेगी या चिताओं में जलना पड़ेगा. जिंदगी एक किराए का घर है, एक ना एक दिन बदलना पड़ेगा. So the point here is that life is very temporary, and unless we put a mindful, conscious effort around doing something about it and take control over it, right? And not let it run in autopilot mode. Okay, I feel like this. My mind is telling me that this is what my natural tendency is. So what do I do? All these are excuses. We need to take control. And the only way to take control is by arming ourselves with the right knowledge. And when we do that, then we take control, we transcend gunas, and then we start aligning to the purpose of life as well. Okay, so that was the soul soup for the day. Now let's get on to our topic of our discussion. All right. Now, the topic of our discussion, let's move on. We have spoken about actions, two kinds of actions. Type 1, intellect and mind. Every action requires intellect and mind. Okay, you don't have a choice because you have to make decision. You have to utilize your skills, so intellect and mind will come into the equation. But to say there are a second kind of action, which is intellect, mind plus attachment. This is the attachment. Okay, this now where does attachment stem from? I said right, kamesh krodhesh rajoguna samudbhava. Rajogun is actually that results in calm, and calm is what gives birth to krodh or lobh. Both have the same effect only, right? The repeated contemplation, attachment leads to desire and anger, and both are equally destructive because it clouds our judgment. Like Bhagavad Gita says, kamat krodho bijayate. Now, where is this attachment coming from? The Rajogun. So unless we look at our Rajogun gives birth to the other two as well, Sattvic or Tamasic as well. The interesting part of these gunas or material thing is even if you have one guna remaining, it can give birth to the other two without you realizing it. So only when you transcend these gunas, then only you will finally get released from the clutches of Maya with God's grace, of course. But it's important to understand that there is no escape from gunas unless you are practicing nirguna mindset throughout your day. And Karm Yog is going to will help us build that God consciousness and the consciousness in which we need to perform every act in our life, or the science of work, which will take us closer to our goal as opposed to binding us further in this world. Okay, so that is what we have been discussing. We have spoken about all the three concepts, first three, and then let's move on to the last one today. There are the four tenets, which talks about the first one. We said, do your duty, do not concern yourself with the results. We looked at the circle of control and circle of no control whatsoever. We had a pretty good discussion. We will recap it again when we put it all together. So if you have missed some part of that discussion, or you want to recap that, we'll do that when we put it all together in our final session, which will probably happen in a couple of sessions or maybe early next week. Then the fruits of your actions are not for your enjoyment. We looked at it analytically. Why? Because we are not at the top of the hierarchy. It's a Param Purush. And when the Jivatma inserts itself as a enjoyer, it becomes a bhogi and bhog, and that bhog leads to rog. So Karam Bhog, from Karam Bhog, which is a binding karma, which anyway we are participating in, we have to move towards Karm Yog. And that is where, this whole discussion has been. And then even while working, give up the pride of doership. We spoke about this concept as well yesterday, that it's because of God's energy that every action is enabled. Even our mind, intellect, which are inert in itself, they are energized by God's energy. And that is why God is the doer. However, a devotee has a sentiment that anything good gets done, you give credit to God because his energy has enabled it. But anything bad happens, do not blame God for that. You take accountability for that. Okay. So the last one is, do not be attached to an action. Let's briefly discuss this. I want to keep a time check today because we have a presentation coming up. Now, Karm Yoga, what is Bhagavad Gita teaching us about an attachment to an action? When we say boring, hitting the snooze button, it can happen in life. We hit the snooze button. In fact, you enjoy that sleep the best. Okay, I do that. So snooze, 5 minutes sleep. But if you keep on snoozing every activity in your life, let's see what Krishna is talking about that. Then finding the world to be too troublesome and resorting to escapism. Is that something which is good? Let's understand that part as well. What is Bhagavad Gita telling us about that? Escapism. Want to run away from responsibilities, that you're going to become a sannyasi. So all these are actually, if you look at it, finding the work cumbersome, those kind of things can happen, right? The work is too much. Oh my God, I'm bored. These kind of things can happen. Now, what Lord Krishna is saying, if you feel any of this, okay, the good news is that you are not the only one. Okay, you are in elite company. A lot of people do the same. The bad news is it's not good. Okay, so let's look at it. What Lord Krishna says, he says, do not be attached to an action. If you feel any of the following, Jyoti is not impressed. Yes, Jyoti, go ahead. What is the question?
Radhe Radhe Nitinji. So
Radhe
I was
Radhe.
confused with the point which you were trying to make in last slide.
Okay, I've just brought in these things. If you feel any of it, let's see what Bhagavad Gita is telling about it.
Okay. Yeah, got it. Yeah. Thank you, Radhe.
There is a saying in English, if you can't convince them, confuse them. Okay, but I was not trying to confuse you. I'll get into that now. Okay, I'll try to convince you on that, what Bhagavad Gita is saying. So let's understand. If you feel any of it, for any of the activities that you undertake, then let's understand what Lord Krishna is saying. So we need to understand and implement the proper science of work, which Lord Krishna has explained to Arjun. Becoming attached to inaction is never the solution and is clearly condemned by Sri Krishna. So this kind of inaction, we have spoken about action in inaction and inaction in action. Okay, let's not confuse it with that. This kind of inaction where you are running away from your responsibilities, where it's more of an escapism, or you're procrastinating things, it is strongly condemned by Lord Krishna. So Bhagavad Gita is a call to action. It is not a call to inaction as popularly believed, even in India. They think if you read Bhagavad Gita, you will become a Baba. Okay, so that is why most of the people keep it as their retirement plan, as if they are really going to retire. But this is something not for the retirement, but it is for the life. It's a life manual to enrich your life, no matter what stage of life you are in. So inaction is strongly condemned by Lord Krishna. In fact, Krishna says in 3.5, he says, Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtat karma krit. Not even for a moment you are without any action, because even a thought is an action, sleep is an action, every thought is an action, and it is counted as your karma. So everybody is compelled to act by their qualities based on their material nature, 3 gunas. Now your thought process, the kind of natural tendencies, proclivities that comes to your mind, they are all dictated by your gunas. And transcending gunas, like we spoke about the soul soup for the day, transcending gunas is the key. We cannot say we are stuck without gunas. Like Duryodhan said in Mahabharat, I know what is right and what is wrong, but still I am compelled to do because of my nature. Now, nature means he's already accepted that he's going to continue to play to the dance tune of his gunas. Lord Krishna is saying, if that was the case, I would have told you, you know what, Arjun, you are born with certain gunas and your gunas is going to drive you. So nothing can be done. Thank you very much. That's not what he's saying in Bhagavad Gita, right? He has explained the science of work and he has told you that you have a free will and then you can use Buddhi Yoga. Buddhi Yoga means arm your intellect with right knowledge and act in accordance with that. Right? So it's important for us to understand that and then transcend those gunas. In every situation, we have an ability to transcend our lower nature or our guna, predominant guna, if it is not beneficial for us. In every situation, we have that option. But we can do that only when we are intellectually convinced that this is important for me. And that is what Lord Krishna is saying. Buddhi Yoga is essentially use the proper knowledge to take right decisions in life, which are uplifting for your spiritual journey and not counterproductive for your spiritual journey. All right, so now let's look at the graph. Result focus, effort focus, doership, non-doership. Okay, we'll briefly discuss this before I hand it over to Sri Ramya and team, who are so excited. I don't know if they are more excited or we are more excited, but I'm looking forward to their presentation today. So let's look at this graph. So if you look at it, this is how it goes. When we have Rajas, Tamas, Sattva, we have, the sense of doership is there as well. And effort focus is on the less, it's not so much. Result focus is more basically. And then you transcend towards the next quadrant and then the next quadrant and the next quadrant. So if you look at it, only in the Shuddha Sattva, where you have effort focus and sense of non-doership is where the Karm Yog quadrant is. In all the 3 quadrants, you are actually transcending, from tamas, basically where, see the first, it's like the first quadrant, actually I should have put the quadrant in sequence as well. So if you look at the left bottom quadrant, that is the first one, where you have a high result focus and a very deep sense of doership, right? Where tamas, the sattva, if you look at it, the shade of tamas is more because you are born out, now your actions is born out of ignorance. You are thinking you are the doer and you are only result focused. So that is the first quadrant. As you get better understanding, then if you see there is a lighter shade there, now you're moving from tamas towards more rajas and sattva in that case. And then you move towards completely sattva, but you still do not give up the sense of doership. And then finally, the Shuddha sattva is where you are focused only on the effort aspect of it, and there's no sense of doership at all. You know that God is energizing it, the concept that we spoke about yesterday, and that is essentially what Karm Yog is. So we need to self-evaluate, introspect which quadrant we belong to, at least moving away from result focus towards effort focus, and reducing our sense of doership is the way to go until we perfect the Karm Yog. So that is the whole idea. Any questions on it so far before we hand it over to Shiramya and team? Because I want to really today we are going to kick off, because the reason we are reading Bhagavad Gita is because Lord Krishna descended 5,000 years back, and for our benefit, he revealed this beautiful knowledge, pearls of wisdom for us that we can use as a life manual and get closer to the goal of life. And his birthday is coming. So we thought, as a humble offering, we in our seva teams in Bhagavad Gita, they are going to do a presentation. And that presentation will be teed off by Shri Ramya's team, which is the Ananya team. They put in a lot of hard work and effort. So, and this is a great opportunity to immerse ourselves in the Leela of Lord Krishna. Now, you might be thinking, what is going to happen? Knowledge is more, exciting to hear about. But the point is, end of the day, all these mental simulations or contemplations that we are doing is to lead us to a point where we can immerse or take our mind to God. And this is a great opportunity to relish the beautiful leelas of God, what we have in offering. And next 15-20 minutes are going to be extremely valuable for all of us, because we can immerse ourselves in God's leela, and it has a purifying effect, right? Like fire does its effect. When we think about God, when we immerse in his leelas, gun, dham, about all the 6 things that God has given us, it cleanses our mind. So this is a beautiful way of doing that satsang, and our team has done a lot of hard work. So let's give them an opportunity. But before that, we can take maybe 2 more questions, because we have time, maybe 2 or 3 more minutes, and then we can give it to them for their presentation. Yes, Sandhya.
Radhe Radhe. My question is regarding this sattva and non-doership. That is not necessarily the case, right? When people are operating in the sattvic mode.
True, you are getting towards that, but then you are still operating in a doership mode. Very true. You're still in the doership mode here. In the graph, it's difficult to hear that, but yeah.
Correct, I get that. Yeah.
Sattva, you do not get rid of doership at all. You are still thinking you are the doer, because goodness is also binding. In fact, it becomes increasingly difficult for people who are in sattvic mode to go for nirgun, because then they get attached to goodness. Okay. So, but the understanding here is they at best get celestial abode. And after Swarg, again you come back here. It's going to Swarg is like, if you do Sattvic Karma, at best you will get Swarg. So it's like going to a hotel where you pay money. The day of the money is over, they'll say, get out. Okay. You'll say, no, give me at least 1 more night. I don't have visa. No, you have to go out. So that is how Swarg is. When your credits are done, you're out of it. So Sattva is good, but not good enough. Yes, Rahul.
And
Yes.
just, there were 2 requests from the Nanya team. First of all, I think they asked all of them to be spotlighted, and having the capability to unmute themselves.
We will give you the capability. So our co-hosts will take care of that by making them co-hosts. And we are going to spotlight all of you. Okay. It will be our extreme pleasure to do so. Maybe 1 more question and then we move on, because I want to give them time and then have a bit of a discussion around this concept and what they are going to present us. I want to give a little bit of window for that as well. So maybe 1 more question and then over to you, Shiramya and team. Get ready and let's spotlight them as well real quick and give them the required access. Because we have a hard stop, I don't want to rush you. Hopefully we can cover it and have a little bit of discussion around it as well. Rahul, you wanted to say something?
No, I just wanted the list or the hands raised so that we can spotlight them. But
sure.
Okay.
You can raise your hand so that we can spotlight you, and let's make them the co-host so that they are able to share as well.
Shiramya is the co-host now. So please let me know who all do you want to be the co-host.
Yeah, so So I am spotlighting them. You can make them the co-host also. Shri
And
Ramya ji.
I'm going to stop share now. So
Okay.
welcome, Ananya team. It's our pleasure to have you all here. And thank you for all the hard work that you have put in. And I'm very excited to look forward to this presentation. And it's good to see so many faces today. Urva ji, Shilpa ji, Shri Ramya, Himanshu, Anita ji. There's somebody called Sudama also. That is Sudama ji. Oh, that is Jigyasa ji. Wonderful. So they are all the participants. Believe or not, they're behind the scene, but today we are forced them to come on camera, which is pretty exciting. So go ahead, Shri Ramya, all yours.
Radhe Radhe, let me know if I'm audible.
Yes, sure. Ramya, we are currently living on 99, okay? It's only because of your presentation. We are going to hit 100 today, I have a feeling. Or maybe on 99.
Okay.
Go ahead.
That is getting me nervous. And let me know if my
You're able to see. Let's get started quickly.
is my screen visible?
Yes, it is. Shemya, please go ahead.
Yes. Let's start. Anita ji.
Yeah. This is Team Ananya's presentation, Krishna Leela, Sudama story, Bhagavatam rendition. Welcome all.
Kachit Guru Kule Vasam Brahman Smarasi Nauyataha Dvijo Vignaya Vigneyam Tamasa Paramashnute.
When Krishna and Balramji became old enough, as was the custom, they were sent from Vrindavan to Sandipni Guru's ashram. Here at the Gurukul, they lived and served the Guru along with other students and received training to become future warriors and rulers. This is where Sri Krishna met Sudama for the first time.
Krishnasya Saka Kaschit Brahmano Brahma Vittamaha Virakta Indriya Teshu Prasantatma Jitendriyaha.
Hey Sudama, will you be my friend?
But I am a poor Brahmin and you are a royal. How can we be ever friends? Friends need to help each other in times of need. I have nothing to offer you.
Just promise me that no matter what, we will always be friends. I promise that as your friend, I will never ask you for something you cannot give me.
Etat eva hi satchisyai kartavyam guru nishkritam yatvai vishuddha bhavena sarvartatmarpanam gurav.
Once, the two boys were ordered by Guru Sandipni to collect firewood from the forest and were given roasted gram by Guru Sandipni's wife as a snack to eat for when they became tired and hungry. The boys worked hard from dawn to dusk, cutting wood in the forest when it started to rain. They quickly wrapped up the firewood to keep it dry when they heard a tiger roaring nearby. To protect themselves, they climbed up a tree and spent the night on its branches. In the middle of the night, Sudama became hungry and he ate all the roasted gram without telling Sri Krishna. Then, when Sri Krishna felt hungry, he said,
Sudama, can I also have some gram?
What gram? The bag of gram had fallen and the grams got scattered.
Is it? What is that sound then?
That is just the sound of my teeth chattering. It's cold.
Sri Krishna, despite knowing the lie, did not reveal anything, and with a smile on his face, forgave Sudama in true Saka Bhav. The boys went back to the ashram, and Sri Krishna, being very hungry, asked Guru Sandipni's wife for some food. She was puzzled, as she had given enough gram for both boys. The Guru's wife, unfortunately, was not that forgiving. When she found out what had happened, she cursed Sudama with lifelong poverty.
Yasya chandomayam brahma deha avapanam vibho shreyasham tasya gurusu vasotyanta vidambhanam.
The time had come for Sri Krishna to execute the works for which he had incarnated on earth. Sudama was saddened at the thought of having to leave his dear friend. They parted ways and did not meet for several years. Sri Krishna went on to become the king of Dwarka and lived with Devi Rukmani, Satyabhama, and several other Ranis in great opulence. Sudama, on the other hand, was living out his curse, ridden with poverty. He didn't even have enough money to feed his children. His wife Sushila, though pious like him, could not bear the thought of her husband and children living in dire conditions.
Tamoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshyosti na priyaha ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya mai te teshu chapyaham.
Sudama's elder brother had a job at the local king's palace and recommended Sudama for a job to the king. Sushila convinced Sudama to take this job. However, once Sudama reached the palace and started singing the praises of Sri Krishna, the arrogant king ordered his staff to beat Sudama because the king did not want to hear anything but his own praises. Sudama winced in pain, but did not stop chanting Sri Krishna's name. This continued on for a few days, and a desperate Sushila begged Sudama to go to Sri Krishna for help. Sudama stubbornly refused. Meanwhile, sitting far away in Dwarka, Sri Krishna felt each blow on his own body, the pain of which left his queens puzzled. Krishna not only experienced the pain of his friend, but also bore it silently as his own, giving no explanation to his wives.
Tatan adaya vipragriya prayaya dvarakam kila Krishna sandarshanam mahyam katam syat iti chintayan.
Finally, Sushila breaks her silence.
It doesn't matter if we are hungry, but we should at least be able to feed the children enough.
What can be done? We can't ask for favors from anybody.
You talk of Shri Krishna so often. You have been saying that you have a deep bond of friendship with him. He is the king of Dwarka, so why don't you go to him? There won't be any need to ask for anything there.
Sudama, being a selfless devotee of the Lord, did not like the idea of asking his beloved friend for any favors. Nevertheless, moved by the plight of his children, he decided to go to Dwarka. He did not want to go empty-handed, so Sudama's wife borrowed flattened rice from their neighbor. She bound the rice in a cloth as a gift for Sri Krishna, and Sudama left with the cloth bundle for Dwarka on foot.
Griham dviyasta sahasranam maishinam harirdvija viveshaikatamam srimad brahmanandam gatoyata.
In the simple abode of Sudama, hunger wasn't a stranger, but it was not the hunger of the stomach that brought Sudama to his dear friend Krishna. It was the hunger of the soul, the longing to see his beloved in Dwarka, where every atom vibrates with Krishna's divine love. Sudama, the epitome of humility, enters this grand city not as a beggar, but as an embodiment of pure devotion. On reaching the palace,
Stop. Where have you come from? Where are
I
you?
want to meet my friend Krishna. He is my childhood dearest friend. Please go and tell him his friend Sudama has come to meet him.
Everybody here wants to meet Dwarkadhish. Shri Krishna. After all, he is the king. How can you looking like a beggar be a friend of king?
Sudama waited a whole day outside the palace until another guard went and informed Sri Krishna of Sudama's arrival.
Sakhya priyasya viprarser anga sangati nirvritaha prito vyamunchat abindun netra vyam pushkarekshanaha.
On hearing Sudama's name, every pore of Sri Krishna's body was filled with jubilant emotion. Everyone, from the queens to the palace staff, looked on in wonder as Sri Krishna ran barefooted to meet his poor friend, also barefooted and bruised. Sri Krishna, looking at his haggard friend, embraced Sudama tightly and took him into the palace.
Deka Sudama kidin dasa karuna karike karuna nidhi roye pani parat ko hatachuyo nahi nainan ke jalaso pag dhoye.
Sri Krishna could not bear to see Sudama's destitute state, and the Lord washed his Sakha's feet with tears of love instead of water. Sri Krishna was filled with deep sorrow and marveled at the selfless love of his dear Sudama, who not once asked him for anything. See, the Lord of the universe washing the feet of his devotee. Such is the greatness of true devotion. Sudama's heart swelled with love. Not a word of his plight leaves his lips in the divine presence of Sri Krishna. All the worldly troubles seem to melt away.
Patayam chakra durgatha purva guru kule sataho atmanor lalita rajan karo gruhya parasparam.
While Sri Krishna hosted his friend Sudama, he recalled the wonderful times they had spent in Guru Sandipni's ashram, as well as the night the two of them had spent in the forest atop a tree hiding from a tiger. Though Sudama had brought a gift for Sri Krishna, he was embarrassed of presenting the tiny, tethered bundle of flattened rice to the king of Dwarka. Sri Krishna, ever the prankster, with a twinkle in his eye, exclaimed to Sudama repeatedly,
Im upaya nammanitam brahman me bhavatagrahat anvapi upahartam bhaktyai premna bhuri eva me bhavet bhuri api abhakto bhartam name toshaya kalpate.
Why don't you show me what is in the bag, my dear friend? Is it something for me? It is something for me, isn't it?
Sudama kept dodging Sri Krishna to avoid him, but Sri Krishna won the little duel and snatched the bag of rice, leaving Sudama dismayed. How was he to know that though he had been cursed with lifelong poverty, it was time for his fortunes to change? One who the Lord chooses to protect cannot be destroyed by anything else. Sudama's bad karma accrued from stealing from the Lord in childhood had been exhausted.
Etavatalam vishvatman sarva sampat samriddhaye asmin loke tavamusmin pumsastvatosha karanam.
Smiling mischievously, Sri Krishna lovingly put a handful of the flavorless, flattened rice in his mouth and ate it with great relish. Yum! With this mouthful, he gave Sudama the riches of the first loka. Fully under the sway of love, he took a second mouthful, with which he gave away the second loka. With the third mouthful, he would have given his own abode, or the third loka when Devi Rukmani stopped him, saying he should not eat alone and share the gift with his Ranis.
Nunam bataitan mama durbhagasya shashvat daridrasya samriddhi hetu mahavibhutir avalokatonyo naivo papadyeta yaduttamasya.
Sudama, on the other hand, was none the wiser of what had transpired. He felt sad as he remembered his hungry children at home, but he couldn't prepare himself to ask Sri Krishna for any favors. After a few days, it was Sudama's farewell day, and on the way back, he wondered,
what shall I say when my wife asks what I have brought back?
As Sudama approached home, he could not find his hut. Instead, his wife came out from a magnificent palace, dressed in elegant clothes.
Look at Sri Krishna's might. We have been rid of our poverty. Krishna has ended our miseries.
But my dear, I never told him about our condition.
The Lord, the eternal giver, does not let his devotees' hands remain empty. Sudama went to meet his friend, and in return, Sri Krishna filled his life with riches. But remember, the true wealth Sudama received was not the palace, but the divine love and grace of Sri Krishna.
The conclusion is, shall I go on?
Yes, yes, Anna.
Such is the divine play of Krishna and Sudama, a tale that reminds us that true devotion lies not in grand gestures, but in the purity of heart and soul. Let us imbibe Sudama's humility and Krishna's boundless love. Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Shri Krishna.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Thank you. Etad brahmanya devasya shrutva brahmanyatam naraha labdha bhavo bhagavati karma bandhad vimuchyate. The whole team of team Ananya is Sri Ramya ji is Shloka recitation, Himanshu ji is Sri Krishna, Jidnyasa ji is Sudama, Purva ji is Sushila and God, Shilpa ji is narration, and myself is introduction and conclusion. Sunita Gupta ji is God, and a lot of support and love from the rest of the team. Arun ji, Rajita ji, Prashant ji, Aparna ji, Shashwat ji, Akshata ji. Thank you all. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you
Radhe
very
Radhe.
much.
Let me read out the last shloka. Parikshit, the man who hears this account, which illustrates Lord Sri Krishna's love for the Brahmanas, attains devotion to the Lord and obtains release from the bondage of the karma. And before I let go of all of you, we have a huge shout out to Sunita ji. This is Shilpa ji's mom who took on the role of the guard when we did not have anyone to play the role of the guards. She was not on the team, she was not participating in the classes, but at the last moment, and she came up and she told, I'll take the role of the guard. So huge thanks to Sunita ji, Shilpa ji's mother. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Wonderful. Very nice, each one of you. The Ananya team, you guys did fantastic. Right from the minute details of having those backgrounds to dressing up and picking up each character, entire team, they put up a show. Amazing work, I would say. Sri Ramya, your recitation was very good. Pretty good, and you guys did it live, not even recorded. Himanshu, immaculate, all that act that you guys do towards Anita ji, your summarization and all that stuff. Shilpa ji, your narration throughout. Sunita ji, Purva ji, Sushila ji, Sudama's wife, and Sudama Jigyasa ji, you guys were pretty amazing, and thank you so much for pulling it off so nicely and setting the tone for the rest of the teams as well, right? You have raised the bar, set the benchmark here, so thank you so much. And I think we've got some seva thoughts, with looking at the recitations from Shilpa ji and all the stuff that you have done. It's very it just opens up a lot of other possibilities as well. And I'll tell you this experience, maybe I'll let you talk about it. You might have experienced a bit of stress, which is called divine stress. Some tug of war might have happened in this seva as well. I'm very sure this is how seva is designed. But if you look at the big part of it, the end result of it, who you are doing it for, you think Krishna Guru would be pleased, extremely pleased. If you burnt midnight oil for this, if you took on a bit of a stress, if you stretched yourself, all that is actually dovetail towards God, that will be actually eventually result in purification only. So from that standpoint, this is why seva is beneficial. I know it's a bit of a drill, but this is the drill we would like to take upon ourselves more frequently, and pray to God to give us the ability, capacity to be able to take these kind of drills, efficiently and without creating a lot of fuss in our mind. How pleasing it would be for God and Guru. How many people get an opportunity to, talk about Bhagavatam Leelas and participate in something like this? You guys did that, and you did it so nicely with so much of bhav. I know you have a little baby as well, Jigyasa ji, Phua ji, and still you turned up in your, attires, and very nicely done. I'm falling short of words, commending the effort that you all put in together. So very, very nicely done. Amazing work, I'm saying. See, when it all comes together, you realize, there was some hand guiding you as well, and you realize that after every seva experience. Beautiful. Let's hear from some other participants as well, because I thoroughly enjoyed it. Let's hear from some others as well. We have a little bit of time, so you did really well on the timing part as well, Sri Ramya. That's good. We can have a bit of an interaction too. By the way, I wanted to let you know, please sign up for the retreat. See, when you are in association with saintly personalities and devotees, Krishna is hiding somewhere there as well. So if you want to increase your odds of meeting Krishna, attend these retreats. Come over. You never know when you can find him, because he's always present there. And even if you can't make it, it's a very nominal price, 500 rupees, $50. You can always do it from the comforts of your home, because physical barriers are not applicable to Krishna. He may decide to give you a vision in one of the bhajans that you are, silently contemplating upon. So please, please, please sign up if you have not already. But I would let participants talk about the beautiful presentation that you gave, and I would let them talk a little bit more about it. Please go ahead.
Jyoti ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, it was such an amazing presentation. The way it has been narrated, the way it has been put together, and it really felt like divine. For a moment, I forgot everything, and it felt like I'm exactly in the same act, and I'm looking I'm inside it. So thank you so much for giving us such an amazing experience. Radhe Radhe.
Turned the clock back for us, and it was so nicely done with the setup and the recitation. Oh man, amazing.
For a moment, I completely forgot that I am on this earth. That's really my
And Shilpa ji, I think you have a voiceover sevas coming your way, because you did a very fantastic job, I must say that. Okay. And Anita ji, you were very crisp and clear with regards to your summarization. Himanshu, spot on with your narration. Shriramya, Purva ji, and Purva ji's Sunita ji, you were amazing as well. Kudos to your enthusiasm on this. And Jigyasa ji, you guys were pretty amazing. Loved it. And thank you for taking the initiative and doing it so well. Yes, let's take a few more hands.
Sandhya, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, excellent team presentation. Loved it. And you made 95 people listen through the beautiful Leela of Bhagavatam as it is. This is a big, big thing.
Big.
So thank you
Just
so much.
imagine. Yes. Just to add that, Sandhya, I don't want to cut you out. See, you recited Bhagavatam Leela to so many people, right? And pulled it off so nicely. So you can't even imagine the amount of grace it will draw from God, I was just blown away with your act. Yes, Sandhya, please finish your thought.
Yeah, and Sunita ji, now onwards, you are part of the Seva team. You were a surprise package, and we are more than excited to have you now onwards going forward as part of Ananya team, I would say. And yeah, I think the sister duo, your coordination, your acting, I was like, Jigyasa ji was full on in the mode of being Sudama. I loved it. And Purva ji, wife, amazing. And Shri Ramya ji, your recitation, like already Nitin ji said,
very good.
spot on. Sunita ji saying something?
Repeat that.
Okay, yeah, welcome. Radhe Radhe. And excellent teamwork.
Yeah,
I
it was
can
very well
do what
planned,
I
I
did.
would say. The get-up, the setup behind the scene, and it just helped us go back in time, right? As if we are part of that Leela. Very nicely done.
And Shilpaji, we are reaching out to you for voiceovers. Loved your voice
Of
modulations
course,
and
it would be
everything.
my honor. Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes. We have a lot of
Anitaji,
stuff we
everybody.
need voiceovers for. So now we know we have a talent here. So very
Thank
nice.
you. Thank you for a great start to the Lita presentation.
And Sri Ramya, you pulled it off live very nicely. Shloka after shloka after shloka. Loved it.
I would like
SSPG and Singhs. Yes, sorry, Shilpaji, you want to sing something?
I would like to thank Sri Ramyaji for being an excellent leader. Every ship needs a captain, and she was a wonderful captain. So I'm grateful to her for leading, and I came in late, but she got me caught up, and she was a great leader. So shout out to her.
Great teamwork, I would say. Fantastic.
Can I have a couple of words? I would like to say that Shilpaji, you stole the show. So when I started, I didn't know what I would be doing. The initial plan was take up Putana story and just give a Bhagavad rendition only. And I just had no idea what to do. And I don't know from where suddenly there was a message, a new participant got added, Himanshuji. So I spoke to him and he gave the idea and he said, we'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do that. I was like, okay, let's see. And then we had shortage of people. And then everybody started showing up one by one. Last moment, Shilpaji came and she came in to fill the role of guards. But then I was not able to take up the narration. It was going badly. And suddenly Shilpaji came and I was like, okay, I'll do the narration. And she just had 2 days time to rehearse. And she literally stole the show. And when you take up God's task, you won't have time. You won't have the energy or anything. But you just have to put one step ahead. Just the step what you can do. And everything will be taken care. You will be very surprised how people show up in the last moment and how things will happen, but it will happen. And in God's task, I don't have any doubt from now on that, don't be overwhelmed, one step at a time. It's a journey from faith to faith, as said by Nikunji. Thank you all once again. Thanks to all the participants. Thanks to the whole team. It was a complete team effort, the presentation. Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. And this, see, Swamiji has told us, it's a very beautiful formula. Okay. He said, if you want to test God and Guru, okay, very simple way to test that. Take up something that you think is beyond your abilities. And when you put in your 100%, you stretch. End of the day, when it gets done, you know it was not you who did it. Right? You will be, and have been part of so many sevas where you see so many failure points. How will it get done? Oh my God, so much of struggle. But when it all beautifully comes together, you know there was something else that was guiding. So those experiences we can only get when we stretch ourselves in taking up sevas from time to time. Very nicely. Let's hear from the Singh Sister Duo and SSPG before we move. We have 6 more minutes so we can talk. And I see some new faces as well. Vinod is turned on, and Revaji and Rupaji. Very nice. It's good to see so many faces today. Yes, SSPG, you wanted to say something?
Yes, congratulations, Ananya team. It is wonderful story and explanation is very good. I enjoyed, and it is there is no words to say more than that. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you so much. Yes, Laddu and Monica ji. Are you feeling the pressure now? Your team presentation is going to come very soon.
We back out.
Radhe Radhe. Please say something good.
Radhe Radhe. No, this was not recorded. How many times did you all practice?
Once.
I don't know.
Flawless. Amazing coordination. Very nice.
We rehearsed twice. The first time, and I was supposed to be the narrator. I was mumbling. It was so bad. And Shilpaji said, let me take up the narrator part. And the second rehearsal, it was all done. And the third one is the final 2 rehearsals.
Wonderful. Oh, this was awesome. Flawless coordination, I must say. And in fact, we are so motivated that we were discussing ki, let's just do it, because even our presentation, we got started with it. Then my son fell sick and then everything took a back seat. But we are so motivated now that, we were coordinating that, we should maybe present it tomorrow itself. Because we got
Thursday. Next one is on Thursday.
Okay.
Ramji's team, Vinamra team is going to give their presentation. But we have time. We'll pace it. We'll give, it's like you don't serve all the dessert in one shot, right? So
but the pressure builds up, Nitinji. It's better that we give it before. After looking at this presentation, I think we should do it. We should just do
everything will turn out well for all the teams like it happened last time. So I'm sure that will happen. But yeah, it was very nice, and you all have set a very nice benchmark for the other teams for as well. And Himanshu, thank you for pulling in and infusing energy in the team and giving all the ideas. So loved it. You wanted to say something, Himanshu, as well?
Yeah, just like very quickly, I wanted to tell all the people here that the participants in our team, everyone like did whatever they did in a very short span of time, and the truth is that they are not even showing their skills right now. We have so many skills in these people because Anita ji could also recite the shlokas, but she is going to take lead for the next time. So we have like a strong team. And
That's good. Anita ji, I look forward to your recitations next time around. Sri Ramya did a fantastic job, and I'm sure you would have done same or even better than that. So I look forward to your presentation. And Shilpa ji, I think like
It's
Tendulkar,
last moment. I thought it was okay. I did as much as possible for myself.
on getting a lot of opportunities around it. And Shilpa ji, like Tendulkar was born to play cricket, and Lata Mangeshkar born to sing. You are born to do voiceovers. I'm telling you, you did a very fantastic job. Okay, that was the X factor in your presentation. So nicely you did that. Thank you so much for that.
And also one thing that all the other teams who are preparing for this, just one suggestion that you should have a very strong captain, believe me, because there are so many things and this captain needs to take the decision and slides and everything. So just be ready with the timeline and just plan accordingly.
You'll do that. It's a good divine stress to take. And see, don't forget the big picture. We are doing it for Lord Krishna, right? We are reading Bhagavad Gita. So this is the least we can do to celebrate his birthday, right? Put in a bit of an effort, thought, creativity, whatever we can do for his sake. Of course, it is going to be very beneficial. We are the biggest beneficiaries out of this exercise, right? So yes, Rahul, you wanted to add something? We have 2 more minutes before we hand it over to the next session.
Radhe, just wanted to add that on the special occasion of Onam, we were very fortunate to see these parikars of Thakurji's and Sudamaji's Leela. And yeah, kudos to all the team members. And thanks for all the efforts you put in there. Radhe Radhe.
Very nice. Yeah. Happy Onam to all of you. And you got the opportunity to present on this auspicious occasion. So double congratulations, Sri Ramya and team, all of you. See, I was worried about the time part of it today. I was thinking maybe we'll pick up a day where we don't have a hard stop, but everything worked out beautifully. It just fell in place. Anybody else who wants to say anything? We have 2 more minutes. Any new participant? I see Vinod for the first time. Vinod, welcome to our sessions. I hope you enjoyed the presentation today. And Reva ji, you do that occasionally as well. It's so good to see you always. Very, very nice. Anybody who wants to say, we can unmute you. Yeah, Vinod, go ahead.
Radhe.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. I mean, I don't know all your names. I'm here for the first time. So I do the Vedic philosophy lectures, and I got to know that followed by which you take the Bhagavad Gita sessions. And I was like, okay, let's just give it a go. And I have a time. So let's just decide and sit and watch what happens. And amazingly, that wonderful Leela, oh my God, I literally have no words. It filled me with the tears, like there were tears that were coming out, like the acting from the shloka, recitation, from the presentation background. Everything was so amazing that it made me, it purified my heart. So I can only be grateful and thanks to the whole team and everybody who made that possible.
I'm glad you could attend it, and we look forward to having you more in our sessions. So we have a wonderful Bhagavad Gita family. We meet every day. We basically have a spiritual party every day, okay? And we've been having it for the past 2 years. Continues to get better with time. But yeah, thank you everybody for turning up and for your enthusiastic participation. With that said, I'll hand it over for the next session. You can stay back for the upcoming session. Over to you, Sunil Bhai and Ajay, if you're there. Okay, I see Ajay now. So Radhe Radhe, have a blessed and a splendid rest of your evening and rest of your day. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Radhe Radhe from my side.
Thank you, Nitin Bhai. Wonderful, wonderful presentations, team. This